It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf, no Tim Slagle. On the Weekly Wrap, Tim's got a paying gig, I guess. So,
I'm in Florida.
Always in Florida. Yeah. Okay. So, I don't get to guess his background.
Palm trees.
Oh, well, he'd be down there. That'd be fine. I was thinking more with something to do with the men's hockey team. Maybe just Trump dubbing in to the hockey players that, these women, you can grab them by the hoo-ha, because that was the equivalent of what he did with the men's hockey team. But first, I have to tell you, Chris, I'm so embarrassed. I did not see that game. Okay. Did you see it?
Every second of it.
Okay. So it's Sunday morning, and I didn't know that the game was scheduled then. And I get a text at about 9:25 from my oldest son in New York saying, "Are you watching this?" And I didn't look at it till about an hour later. The reason being, I figured on Sunday morning I was going to get some ministerial work at my job done, get it out of the way, in the quiet of a Sunday morning. I can't tell you how, banal some of that work was. And I was kicking myself for the next 5 hours that I missed the game.
Was one of the best hockey games I've seen in a long time.
I mean, I think the last big game before that, as far as I'm concerned, was the last game the Blackhawks played in the Stanley Cup final. Okay.
Yeah,
so
almost a decade ago.
Yeah. So, and, I grew up and I wanted to be a hockey announcer. So, I mean, this is a big deal for me, this hockey. And, and I saw the Miracle on Ice as everybody else did on, tape delay, but 46 years ago, I saw that. And this is, pretty darn close to what happened. It's not, doesn't have quite the magnitude, but it was really big, and I missed it. And here's the thing, just to go back, remember when Burley pitched his no-hitter in 2007? I was working a morning show on Channel 5 at the time, and so I didn't stay up to watch it. Well, I told my father and I guess my oldest son, let's start a no-hitter calling tree after this in case it ever happens again. And so we decided we would do that. And so one day in July 2009, a couple of years later, I'm at another job, and I see about 4 or 5 messages from my father that I ignore. All right. And because, I probably wants to set up a golf game or something like that, and I was busy. Then I go into the car, I turn on the radio, AM 1000, and all I hear is the absolute din, the screaming from the cellular field. And finally, Ed Farmer pipes in, and I'm thinking, and I knew it before he said anything because I put 2 and 2 together with my father with the calls that I didn't answer and the din at the cell. And, Burley had thrown a perfect game. So I missed that. And so,
but similar what I've learned from this is that you do not pay attention to calls from your family.
But yeah, I think that's the common ingredient right there. So I just, I missed this. I was really upset about it. Well, and also I had a chance to save myself because I'd ask my son, what is it? What are you talking about? Iran or a hockey game? And he said, the hockey. So I go to the TV, and what I should have done,
watch the replay on Peacock.
Yeah, go to home, instead of live on the TV. And then I could have seen, on delay. It wouldn't have been that big a deal. Instead, I went to live, and what do I see? The Canadian team getting the silver medals. So I just knew, okay, we won the gold, and it just killed me. So anyway, Trump makes this, says, the now infamous phrase about that he would be impeached if he didn't invite the women's team. All I got to tell you is, and then you're getting people like Sarah Spain. Have you seen her on Twitter at all? You do follow
I do
her
not
at all?
follow her. I would probably just get angry.
I mean, she made another headline, on like last week because she was sitting near JD Vance at the Olympics and said it made her sick. Okay. So here she's going, about how horrible it was on what Trump did, and the players were horrible and everybody was bad. And my response to that was, yes, dear. So all I can tell you is I play golf. That's my sport. And I play with these guys who are predominantly, well, they're white, they're Democrats, okay, they're liberals. And my game isn't as good as it used to be. And I tend to hit it not very long off the tee anymore. And when I hit one of my short drives, invariably one of the guys will say, nice shot. Does your husband play the game? So, that's the way guys are. All right. And they're all liberal Democrats and blah, blah, blah. But Trump couldn't get away with saying that. And then, that everybody's apologizing, everybody's covering themselves. It was just.
Did you see Jack Hughes' mom get interviewed on the Today Show?
I read about it. She deflected it pretty well.
Not take the bait at all. And she's either a coach or a consultant for the women's team, and obviously 2 kids playing. And this is great for America. Just completely great answer. Just wouldn't. No,
it was kind of like if she had a great bosom and was blonde and about 30 years younger, she could be Sydney Sweeney. Asking.
Well, she used to be blonde. Did you see her pictures when she played for the USA team?
No. Did she look? Was she a looker?
Yes. Yeah. Not bad.
Yeah, a looker and an athlete. That's pretty good. So everybody had their different take on it, and quite frankly, I'm having a hard enough time seeing the puck go into the net before the 4th replay on anything right now. So what I didn't really want to have to do was go over granularly the tape of the locker room celebration. As far as I'm concerned, I still had champagne from Kash Patel in my eyes.
Which almost looks AI, doesn't it?
The Patel stuff.
Yeah, because he's jumping up and down. He's
and then they criticized him. Of course, he's doing it on the taxpayers' dime, blah blah blah. But also that he was criticized. He looks like a geek in there. Well, it's fine. He is a geek. He was owning it. I mean, I remember when the Bulls would win their championships, and everybody, Gene Siskel would be getting in there and getting his head doused with champagne, and a guy like Jim Rose would make sure that he got his head doused with champagne. I was always on the periphery interviewing Jerry Krause.
You put the goggles on.
Right. I mean, I've never been doused with champagne in a victory celebration. It didn't bother me that Patel did that.
He's a lifelong hockey player. He still plays in adults.
Oh, there you go.
League,
so he's got cred. Yeah. He's got cred for doing that. But, it just went on and on and on.
What about the ratings? Does the ratings make a difference to the level of celebration? The women got 7 million people for the gold medal game. The men got 26 million at 7 a.m. on a Sunday.
Well, no, but former sports reporters like Sally Jenkins of the dead Washington Post was saying, "Oh, the WNBA does better than the NHL during the season." Whatever,
the WNBA does better. What?
So there's some. My question was, is this with or without Caitlin Clark? But
seventh game does better than a Tuesday afternoon Martin Luther King game or something.
It's apples and oranges at best.
Yeah,
that comparison. But it was just ridiculous. No, I love that the Hughes brothers. See, in Judaism, you take religion traditionally. You take the religion from the mother. Okay, I did not realize you also took the hockey talent from the mother.
Oh, their dad played for the Bruins or something.
Oh, her dad?
Their dad and their mom, they're both hockey.
Oh, I didn't know that. And Hughes was oh boy. Well, that's no wonder. It was a slam dunk. You should pardon the mixed metaphors.
What about the kid? What about they have 3 kids in the NHL and one didn't make the USA team? Do you know that?
Oh, I really got to follow my NHL a little bit. How's Connor Bedard doing? How are the Hawks doing?
I can't believe he didn't make the Olympic team.
Well, they were saying that had he made it, that might have made the difference for in the finals. But whatever. And I had a question. because only I would think of something like this. It just dawned on me, and I was asking on Twitter if anybody was following Mark Giangreco, who's blocked me, because I know Mark loves hockey. As a matter of fact, like his kids and my kid were in hockey at the same time, and we used to see each other at the arenas, and he loves hockey. And I know that he hates Trump, obviously. I wonder if he tweeted how bad Trump was for joking about the women's hockey team. It could have been worse. Trump could have called them ditzes. People were telling me that he hadn't tweeted. I'm wondering if it dawned on him that, hey, I kind of sounded like Trump talking about Cheryl Burton. So anyway, how about, did you see that tape of Trump playing hockey? That AI thing that was done.
I have that.
I think I sent it to you, and it was. It was a lot of fun. Trump liked it. Yeah, it shows him skating wonderfully. He's wearing a suit. Everybody else is, in their hockey gear, and yeah, and so there he is. If anybody can see this, what I really thought made it fake, though, was that he
what made it fake beyond every part of it.
Oh, no, it's genuine. No. Notice that he's stick handling both right and left-handed. Nobody does that. I mean, it didn't bother me that he's wearing a suit, that he's 60 years older than all the hockey players, that he's beating them all up, and that he's skating right through them. That I have the willing suspension of disbelief, but you can't stick handle both ways. Bruce Wolf, sans Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle's not here on the Weekly Wrap. He's in flow. So, just to close the loop, or the toe loop, or the double axel on the Olympics. So, this absolute darling, Alicia Liu, I guess, wins the gold medal for us, and it turns out that she's a leftist as well, but the conservatives didn't care about it. We all cheered her, and she won. But and she's demonstrated for the Palestinians, and talks a lot about immigrants' rights. But it was interesting. Apparently, her father protested, I want to say, against the Chinese, like in '89 or not, in that era, and somebody mentioned that's Robert Conquest's first law, which is everybody is conservative in something that they actually know about. Okay. So when she, the Chinese, she's not exactly like her teammate on the Olympics. What's her name? Eileen Gu. I forgot the first.
Who's
name.
The one that sold out? Yeah.
Yeah, the sellout, the commie. And my question to the commie is, how I would just ask her, and of course all the legacy press celebrated her. They were either celebrating her or ripping the men's hockey team. But apparently China has close to a deal with Iran for supersonic CM-302 anti-ship cruise missiles. And it would have been neat to just ask Gu about that. Do you favor that that sale? I mean, take her seriously.
Would her answer be as idiotic as AOC's answer to the Taiwan situation?
I imagine it would parallel AOC. I think she'd be a little better than AOC. I think she'd manage to.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
So, the kerfuffle between the Trump inviting the women's hockey team as well, with that bit of a stutter in it. What about all the other Olympians that won gold that didn't get an invite at all for the State of the
right.
What is it sport? Is it the class of sports? Because hockey was the most watched thing, and
I don't know. Did we win a biathlon or anything? I didn't watch that this year.
Well, obviously, Lou won her award. She's a star.
Well, maybe she's going to be invited later. But I would have loved to see her sitting in the White House like the men's hockey team did, eating McDonald's. Which, by the way, there was criticism of
I don't think that was McDonald's.
no, that apparently the men's hockey team got McDonald's.
It looked
You,
like it was crafted on site. There was not McDonald's wrappers like when he usually has the McDonald's.
oh, you think it was faux
Well,
McDonald's?
because when someone said it, I kind of did a deep dive into the picture and I saw things wrapped into foil and stuff like that. And there wasn't just, and the burgers did not look like McDonald's burgers. So I
Well,
think it
I'm
was
wondering
made
if
in,
they got a special pipeline to McDonald's. I'm wondering about that.
do they have
I
special
think
patties and makeup of burgers too? Because it
I
looked
don't
like
think
a
they make
homemade
it
burger.
in the White House. I don't think they have a McDonald's, a
But
drive-through
they,
in the White House, even
but they
though
didn't
Trump
look like
could
McDonald's. They
actually
just
work
looked,
there. What?
they looked like homemade burgers. They didn't look like McDonald's
Okay.
burgers.
All right. All right. Well, that's an investigation. I'll assign you to on that for next week. We may blow the lid off that whole thing.
We might have to break in with a special report if I.
We will, yeah, emergency podcast. I'm there. I'm there for you. So, hey, Mandani apparently can claim a success. All right, hold on. I got to get this. Okay. So yeah, Mamdani can claim a success apparently. The shoveling, remember they hired these guys and they had to show I have IDs, which you don't need for voting. But apparently, Mamdani can say that he got the sidewalk shoveled, just like Mussolini can say he made the trains run on time. So they're hailing this as a big success because they got it done in a couple of days. I say if he got it done, maybe he should be in charge of small, very small, discrete public works projects. Now, the fact that they probably are mismanaging their sanitation and snowplow situation in New York. I mean, who cares? It's just a little more debt to run up for them. But, got to, at least in a superficial way, give him a little credit for that. Meanwhile, there's still other problems in New York. You see this Beatrice Adler Bolton tweet that I sent you. It was about in reaction to some people are taken aback when they're on the train and they see a homeless person peeing on the train. Can you believe that? Can you believe how sensitive some commuters are? So
used to it on the blue line.
I'm trying to read this. It's a little small for me to read off. If you can make it any bigger. Well, that's the woman who's complaining. How about the tweet from Beatrice Adler Bolton? If you can make that a little bigger. I don't know. I'm sorry for the technical workshop here where we try to make it bigger because she throws in some academia, some academic language that was
Partial
really,
sanism.
She called it the maximalist fusion of what was sanism or something like that. What is sanism?
Maximalist fusion of mental health stigma with punitive social logics. I mean, it was all just I
was wondering if it's a maximalist fusion of mental health stigma and a dessert topping. Maybe it can be both of those things. But yeah, remember Rudy Giuliani's broken windows idea, which was successful and helped bring down crime in New York. I mean, they actually didn't allow the turnstile jumpers to commit the small crimes, which would lead to the bigger crimes, or those were people who usually had committed bigger crimes as well. And, that worked. But they wanted to get rid of that. They don't like that. They don't like throwing criminals in jail. We totally understand that. And, maybe, you should be taken aback at somebody peeing on the L or on the subway, and it's not really a horrible thing to be upset about it and to want something to be done about it. But in Mamdani's New York, it's something that they're resisting. I thought that if he really wanted to be fair, he should have drafted billionaires to do the snow shoveling for free. I don't understand why that. You might have induced a couple of heart attacks. I grant you that, but I'm surprised he didn't do that. So how about Gavin Newsom He's trying to be everyman, plain folks. Do you remember? Did you study propaganda when you were like in seventh grade? Okay, the,
If we did, I
the
forgot.
glittering generalities are one of the things, and how propaganda is infused into society. And one of the things was politicians using plain folks. I remember the example was Adlai Stevenson, a so-called intellectual. Okay, rumor is that he really wasn't, because apparently when he died, all they found was the social register at his bedside. That may be apocryphal. I don't know, but he wasn't the. I mean, next to Eisenhower, he may have looked like a brainiac, but in
Junior
any
always seemed
event,
pompous.
yeah, question about that. So, the thing about Stevenson was they showed that he had a hole in his shoe. Okay, and see, he was just like every guy. So now you got Gavin Newsom.
Who in no way is an every guy.
Well, there are elements.
To Gavin
Like, I mean, I
Newsom?
guess his mother had to have two jobs or something like that. No, but he grew up in privilege. There's no question about it. He eats at the French Laundry while everybody else in COVID is not allowed to worship. But he's he's rife with hypocrisy. So the other day he was at some meeting, and apparently wasn't just blacks in Georgia. It was mixed. But he just tried to act like he's everybody else, by saying, "Hey, I'm not that smart. I got only a 960 on the SAT," and he also claims to be dyslexic. Somebody asked him, excuse me. Well, maybe you know what? Maybe I'm dyslexic. Dyslexic. Why isn't dyslexic spelled dyslexic? I mean, that's what I wanted to always know, but. That was not a Freudian slip right there. Maybe
it's almost
somebody
spelled the same way forwards and backwards, isn't
it? Maybe somebody should have. So somebody had asked him whether, about the nature of his dyslexia, because there's a whole spectrum of dyslexia, and one of his spokesbeings said to F off. that was the literal response to a journalist's question, because he might not be as bad as everybody else. I remember George Bush II said he was that too, but especially nowadays. Well, Gavin Newsom was, grew up in the 80s, I guess. So because now everybody is being diagnosed with everything, but he's not that recent vintage. But
George Bush obviously grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth, but still came off as being somewhat, relatable.
Oh yeah. Well, the big thing was everybody thought he was dumb. Okay, and then it came out that he actually had speaking of SATs, he had a higher SAT than Al Gore, and also had a higher SAT than John Kerry. But I want to thank John Podhoretz for reciting this stuff on the commentary podcast.
How about this though?
Gavin Newsom
found that African American to interview him that actually crosses his legs the same way that Gavin Newsom.
Oh, did not know that.
Look at that. It's like a mirror image.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's wonderful. But Newsom had a tweet where he, this is a substantive one now about politics. He was talking about how bad Marco Rubio was, and how much worse JD Vance is. And the tweet was that Marco Rubio is a complete fraud, but JD Vance is worse than that. And I was thinking, wait, if you're a worse fraud than a complete fraud, that's like the 11 in Spinal Tap, right? So Gavin Newsom, I think maybe you should have gotten a 1700 on the SAT. Pretty interesting guy. Then we go to Van Jones, who has admitted that there should be voter ID. How do you feel about it? Because I know you're, and especially in Tim's stead, you're very worried about election fraud.
I still remember it in my first election, going and handing them my ID, and they're going, "What are you doing?" Like, I'm coming to vote. They're like, "You don't need that." I'm like, "Really?" I was stunned. Didn't need it.
Right, exactly. Well, and it seems like there's a consensus on having the ID, but it's just how far do you have to go? Do you have to have a DNA test, citizenship papers, and the like? But I was so Van Jones actually came out in favor of it. I'm thinking I don't think anyone with an SAT under 961 should be allowed to vote. So, in any event, interesting doings. Do you think Gavin Newsom is the front runner right now? I mean, I don't know who is. It's isn't AOC wrote herself out of this.
I will say that Gavin Newsom, when he gets in a debate setting, is a very good performer, and he can fake his way through quite well, these gaffes aside. But did you watch the debate he did with for no reason with Rick DeSantis? I watched it out of curiosity. He did that.
No. How did he do?
I think he did quite well.
Oh, okay.
Because he's great in that forum for a 960 dyslexic.
Well, I mean, if there's one thing we've learned from these debates is that, boy, the substance doesn't seem to matter much.
No,
I mean, the question really becomes, is that president senile? That was the threshold question in the worst debate in the history of presidential debates. So yeah, it's they might want to get rid of State of the Union speeches and debates. And by the way, I see in the rundown, you didn't even mention the State of the Union.
Yeah, I did. It was the first thing. You didn't talk about it.
Oh, I didn't see it in the rundown. Well, of course, I skipped over. Oh, well, we'll get back to
I wasn't sure if the State of the Union was over yet.
Exactly. No, I think that Abraham Lincoln could have started the Gettysburg Address. He could have gone 7 years ago, gone back to see Our American Cousin at Ford's Theater, come back to Gettysburg, finished up Of the People, by the People, for the people shall not perish from the earth, and done it in less time than Donald Trump did for
with a bullet in his head.
Why did you have to go there? Why'd you have to? What do you think? You're Tim Slagle? Bruce Wolf sans Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle, not here on the Weekly Wrap. So, breaking news. So Hillary Clinton did testify in the Epstein case, and she didn't know nothing, right? I mean,
not a thing, apparently.
So, I mean, I remember when she testified in Benghazi, and the takeaway line was, at this point, what difference does it make? So, did she say that at all during the testimony? She had no information on Epstein's crimes and doesn't even recall meeting him. So,
though Ghislaine Maxwell was at her at Chelsea's wedding.
That's close enough. The Epstein cooties are unbelievable. I mean, isn't Lawrence Summers resigning from something at Harvard because of that? And I don't even know that he did anything. But everybody, and then I like to play the game 6 Degrees of Epstein's separation. Do you have any connection to Epstein?
I was going to say, you might be at 6 degrees at this point.
Well, I know that some school photographer apparently had some kind of connection, I don't know, 4th or 5th degree, whatever, and the school in the Chicagoland area, and the school changed school photographers. I that's all I know. Okay.
That is true.
Well, I look, I think, will you corroborate that? As what else did I assign you to do an investigation on?
I already forgot.
I forgot to. Well, you look at the tape. So then Clinton, and of course, by the time people listen to this or see this, Bill will have already testified, and I think he'll probably just say, "I did not have sex with that woman, that woman, that woman, or that woman." Okay, it worked for him with Monica, right? So,
or what the definition of is
the best, the best lawyering I've ever heard. What on the definition of is. So we'll see. Meantime, and you had mentioned that you did put the State of the Union in the rundown. However, you do realize that I'm a senior, okay?
The type was a little.
The type was a little small, and all I saw was U.S. men's hockey flap, and I didn't even see the State of the Union at the top. But we should address it. You
You
do know
want to know
that.
why it's small? I put the heating and air conditioning in that font.
Sure,
It's kind of a
sure.
gag,
And
running
by the
gag.
way, you're right. If you do want to talk about heating and air conditioning, you want to get your heating and air conditioning Jones out.
Well,
Go
I
right
am
ahead.
waiting to get an update. I can't wait for Tim to get back to get an update on his new thermostat that he put in.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I no, I'm sorry. I don't have expertise in that area. I'm strictly about weaponry. That C-320 that the Chinese are selling to Iran. Yeah, you can't be an expert. You do your thermostats. I'll do weaponry. The F-22s that are in Israel right now, apparently because no other country wants to let Israel have them. And let me ask you this. We'll get back to the State of the Union. Do you believe that we are actually going to attack Iran?
I certainly hope not. But as another proxy where you're mentioning China, I heard that Russia also is either given or sold weapons to Iran.
No,
Why
here's the
not?
thing. It is a proxy war. Russia does subsidize Iran. So that means that sanctions don't work. Okay. And Trump's been kind of backed into a corner here. I mean, you remember that Obama had his red line that he punted and asked the Russians to take over in Syria. And you've got like, I mean, is this a reasonable estimate? 32,000 people were slaughtered by the regime recently. I mean, you don't think that's hyperbole, right? I mean, it sounds like so many, but
I mean, do we trust weapons of mass destructions anymore? I mean, I'm sure there's been protesters slaughtered. Is it 32,000? I don't know if that number is correct, but when we've
right.
seen enough video to see that there's been some overreach when it comes to handling protesters.
All right, look out from a Bannon file like yourself. I'm gonna take that as a hearty endorsement of the administration's take on this. But it does look like
I
it
think we need to
does
get Lindsey Graham out of the room. That's what we need.
it
That
does
man's been
look
wanting to
like
go to war with Iran since for 20
yeah.
years.
Well, even the conservatives that I follow are saying be a pretty good idea if Trump went to Congress on this, and really you do need some kind of consensus. Otherwise, it seems like he's backed into a corner, and he did not like it when he threatened them, and then they went out and killed a lot of people. He tried to say at the State of the Union to bring it back to the State of the Union. Well, they stopped hanging people, but this was after they slaughtered
Yeah,
thousands of people.
it's
So
almost as bad as Obama's red line.
yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see how it shakes out. In a few, who knows how long it's
And
going to
and
drag on.
here's weapons of mass destruction part two. We apparently obliterated their nuclear capabilities, but it's
Except we
a couple
didn't.
months later, except we didn't. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. And by the way, I'm getting this from getting it from the right. I'm getting it from the left on this. I I think the consensus was among people who were really thinking about this, and I think I even said it at the time. It wasn't an obliteration. It was a 2 year, maybe a 2 year delay. Okay. So, I mean, and that can be very significant. 2 years, but yeah, they,
Six
they could,
months, 2 years. What's the difference?
well, I mean, I look, I don't know. That's why, we elect geniuses to run our
To
government
to
and
listen
make
to the
these.
shadow government tell them what to do.
Well, obviously it's the Jews, Ivanka and Jared in the background deciding this. So let's get back to the Jews just for a second here. And this is a tweet from Eli Lake. I think he says in this tweet, if I'm not mistaken, that Trump, and this is Bruce's Jews News, regular feature of this showgram, as Jonathan Brandmeier would have called it. That Trump had asked Charlie Kirk, or not Charlie Kirk, it asked Tucker Carlson, privately asked Tucker to back off his war against pro-Israel MAGA world. He has asked that. And I do know, supposedly Trump had asked Charlie Kirk to back off the MLK bashing when Trump was kind of trying to court a few more black votes for the election. So it's possible, although the latest I've seen from Tucker is that he's saying the neocons are hysterical and we're going to lose thousands of soldiers in a war. So it doesn't sound like he's backed down too much. But I think you're right to be suspicious. There are Jews who run this administration. Jared, Ivanka, and Mel Brooks definitely got into Trump. Anyway, did you see? All right, let's go to the State of the Union real quickly here. What did you think of the speech?
Well, I had it on as I was doing other things, and I thought I was kind of intaking it, and then I would see clips the next day and realize that I wasn't really paying that close of attention. I waited for the hockey team to come out, got a smile out of that, and then it was paced out to where he had these moments of making people stand up. So you had to have the it was very much well produced, because you got how you're not going to cheer for a 100-year-old guy getting a medal here and all spaced out, and so that part of it. But I first of all, as soon as I see a Trump speech comes on something, I tune out, because he talks way too long and repeats the same things over and over and over.
I know, it's a filibuster. It is. Dan Proft and I used to do at WLS the State of the Union. We'd have a dinner.
Go to Gibson's and watch it.
Huh?
Go to Gibson's and watch the State of the Union.
Oh, I forgot. It was a couple of places, a couple of nice joints that we were at, and the crowd, and we would do what I used to call mystery political science theater. All right. And where we would just,
the back of your head would be in front of the screen, and you would make
wise ass comments. But the problem, it was Obama. Okay, so you could do that. You can't really, you can't do it when you're rooting for Trump to actually make sense. And there were people who actually liked the speech. I have never liked State of the Union speeches. They've always been too long. Nixon did one that was only 29 minutes.
That's more of that.
And Woodrow Wilson apparently was as bad as Woodrow Wilson was, he was even worse for instituting the State of the Union speech. I myself was watching Bad Bunny, the counter programming that the Democrats put on.
Did you understand it?
The State of the Union. But here's the thing about the State of the Union. Remember, I think I was talking last week about how Netflix makes sure that the script writers to all their series mention the plot line or explain the plot like 3 times, because they
an
think
explosion in the first 5 minutes, and then you have to keep repeating the plot.
You keep explaining it, because people are doing other things while they're watching, these serious Netflix series. And the number one thing that people do other things with is the State of the Union. I remember Mark Stein years ago writing, it was written so that people would just hear the thing that they wanted to hear, like, oh, I'm going to give more money to teachers. And a teacher would hear that, go, yay, and then they'd go on folding the laundry or doing whatever. And I mean, this was before you even had the distraction of cell phones. So that's what you listen for. You listen for your thing, and it plays into what the Democrats love to do, right? Which is tax, spend, elect, get everybody into a constituency that needs a handout from the federal government. And that's what, Trump was promising people. No taxes, no tips,
I was wondering if they were going to have the hockey team sit there the whole time. And it was good, because those kids would not be interested in the 2 hours. So it was good that they kind of just brought him in as a show pony.
Or they would have been escorted out like Al Green was. Because, Bruce Wolf, no Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. As you can see, Tim's not here today. There were Next Star, which runs this outfit, cut Tim, and so now I'm the solo anchor. No, that's not what happened. It happened at Channel 9 this week, where they got rid of like 8 or 9 employees. And you say that you actually have some
breaking news.
Breaking news. What's the breaking news?
Well, Darling of Chicago was part of the people let go. I think you're going to remember her.
Oh, yes. This is I think her name is, I wanted to say Brockmeyer, but something like Brockman or something. Yes, the woman, the producer, who was arrested for allegedly assaulting ICE agents. I don't remember, maybe you recall she was like dragged on the ground or whatever. She actually was axed a while ago, but she was only a producer, not, as I believe the Sun Times had it in a tweet, a camera-facing employee. They didn't say on-air reporters and
she wasn't even like a news producer creating the story. She was creative. She was working in the
oh yeah. One of those. So she was fired. Yeah, she's the biggest one, not physically necessarily, but the biggest firing. The one that really got me was the news anchor. This guy, thank goodness I didn't bother remembering what his name is, but I think his name is something like Ray Cortopazzi, something like that. He was on the air in the middle of his shift when, like on the Gong Show, they took the hook and, well, no, I think they waited till a break and took him off during his shift.
After the break happens and then there's a new.
He doesn't come back. He never comes back.
There were most of the people I didn't recognize. Only Chris Bowden, I think, was the biggest
Chris
name.
Bowden, not my former intern.
Everybody interned for you.
Well, but then that's why I won't make light of the fact, and say something nasty like, well, now Chris will be free to come up with his radical tweets. He'll have plenty of time to do that. Welcome to the club, Chris. But yeah, no, I feel bad for Dean Richards, even, because Dean and I once got into a fight over Garfield Goose. Just like, because they were showing this stuff during Christmas, and I was saying, I mean, for some reason I made fun of it, and he said, a lot of people really enjoy seeing this, and I got to admit, I enjoyed seeing like an old Garfield Goose rerun from 1959, which was right before Game 6 of the World Series, and Gar actually had a couple of tickets to the Game 6 of the World Series in 59. It was a nice flashback. But so I feel bad for Dean. I feel bad for, all of them, because I kind of know what it's like to have this happen. But the idea, that now they're going to have to go to solo news anchors. And WGN, I think, was a pioneer in having local broadcasts with double anchors. I'm pretty sure they were. NBC had Huntley and Brinkley. I don't know how far back you go and if you remember any of that or know of it. But at least Huntley and Brinkley were in different cities. Like Brinkley was in Washington and Huntley was in New York. But WGN started this thing in the 60s called the Park Ruddle Report. Jim Ruddle, you might have remembered him from later on with Channel 11. Gary Park. They would be sitting next to each other. And my father came home. He saw this and he said it looked like a ping pong match. And Dad, I got to tell you, 60 years later, you're vindicated. They finally realized how stupid it is. So if maybe out of a necessity.
I am old enough to remember when they would take a snarky sportscaster and put him on in the morning and let him talk about everything and interviewed various guests.
It was great. It was wild. It's absolutely wild. Absolutely wild what they would let. Oh, the worst firing of a broadcaster in Chicago, I think, was this guy.
Car or not?
The king of the car. I deserve that. So Ben Finfer, this guy, he was a producer at the Score. He gets a job on the air at a news station called The Game, 87.9, which is now.
I've watched this.
Huh?
I've watched this. He finds out on the air and he just goes off on management. Is that who you're talking about?
I believe so. I think what happened was
he used to be on with Alex Quigley.
I forgot who he was on with, and I know Ben. So he's on the air, and his partner, maybe it's Alex Quigley, says we've been fired. They're closing the station down. Yeah, Quigley knew, and Finfer says no, that couldn't have happened. That didn't happen. But it was already in Robert Feeder's column.
That's how he found out. He read it in a break on Robert Feeder's.
He read it in a break on Robert Feeder's column, and then and so I mean that's the worst when you get it right on the air. You have to read about you're being dismissed. The whole station is collapsing, and you read about it in Robert Feeder, and you're on the air at that moment. That's got to be the worst. I got to tell you, one time, and I can't tell you who this was, but I was getting a job the Chicago station, and I was going to be replacing somebody. And I knew that management wanted to tell Rob Feeder about it and had it set to be released, at a certain time. And I said, you got to at least give this guy who I'm replacing 15, 20 minutes to call his wife. Okay. And before she could possibly see it. And so they did. They gave him like a 15, 20-minute break. And I'm happy to tell you this guy is rebounded and he's been successful and he's fine. But yeah, a little humanity there. Okay. Look what a nice guy. Chris, did you realize what a sentimental guy I am?
I'm trying to figure out who it is now. Certainly not Lou Canellis, because he's the one that rode your coattails and ascended to the top of the.
He didn't exactly ride my coattails.
Oh, it was your intern.
He was my intern. Lou was my intern. I remember when Lou was out of work. Okay. I know exactly where he was working too. And he even told me at the time, I don't even need this anymore. Well, then he came back for another 20 years and he's still going.
Doesn't need it. What does he come from money?
No, I mean, he thought it would be do something else for a living and seemed to be happy to do that. Oh, I got to tell you, the Channel 9 people, it wasn't just Channel 9. Nexstar did this, and they're having a merger, so they're trying to cut some waste, fraud, and abuse. So they cut these 8 or 9 people from Channel 9, but they also cut people across the country. And I saw on Twitter at KTLA in Los Angeles, they cut a number of people as well. And I got to tell you, the LA people, the women look hotter, okay, than the Channel 9 people. That's my object. Some pretty blondes and brunettes.
Sorry, Robert Baumgartner.
Well, Robin kept her job, and I got to recuse myself.
Keep her job because she's funny and natural and is like their actual personality.
I've known Robin for 35 years. So
outside of her, you, Mark, Larry Potash, I mean, people that actually can insert their own personality a little bit. Everybody's a robot.
I don't know. My whole idea. Who watches? You do watch the local news?
I'll find for somehow I'll get a clip on YouTube of like a WGN morning news thing, and it's 3 minutes, and I'll watch it.
Yeah, that's all I will look at. I don't. I mean, that I was a traffic reporter at Channel 5, and when I was there, I was saying, well, nobody's got a TV in their car. Why did it? And now there's even less a raison d'etre for a traffic reporter because everybody's got GPS, but we know all that stuff. And that's a reason that people are losing their jobs. So, my belief is if Robert Feeder isn't there to write about it anymore, does it even really exist? That's a
deep
sobering
thoughts.
note. So, the Bears, are they going to be? I guess Wrigley Field is out. I was hoping they'd move back to Wrigley Field. They're not. And the latest on that was, Indiana keeps passing these bills and everything like that, and the governor is ready to sign. And Illinois they had some bill that came out and it looked like they were ready to move again. But now the latest I heard was they can't do anything until at least mid-March. So, I mean, we all know about negotiations. It all comes down to the 11th hour. It's Jim Thompson on his knees at the state legislature. And, we talked about the possibility of Pritzker having to do that. And if he could even get up, if he did that. But, yeah, just, I don't think.
Well, I thought they canceled a hearing in Springfield this past week.
Yeah, that was last week, but then they had some legislation that was going through, but now supposedly it's not going to be considered. Finally, we should say something a little bit more about the Reverend Jesse Jackson. We got a picture of Mike North, who actually was kind of friends with Jesse Jackson, and which I thought was interesting. And he and Jesse Jackson did something together, and this is why Mike North was a much bigger luminary in Chicago broadcasting than I was, because he was doing things with Jesse Jackson. I think they worked together on
You
doing
didn't help
something
get
for
the Minnie Minoso statue.
Ernie
up?
Banks. I think something.
No,
for
I'm saying
Ernie.
you didn't get the Minnie Minoso statue done.
No. Okay. Well, it says, yeah, we became good friends, Jackson and I, working together along with John McDonough of the Cubs to erect a statue for Ernie Banks. And, there's a picture of Jesse Jackson and Mike North. I got to tell you, I actually did something with McDonough too. It's true. I was the one who I was on our morning show on opening day one year when I put the question to him, pointed to him and said, is Ronnie Woo Woo going to get to sing during the stretch this year? And I swear McDonough in that moment decided that he was. So I did something for Ronnie Woo Woo, and Mike North did something for Ernie Banks. And my belief always was that Ronnie was just Ernie walking around in a Cub uniform, wandering around the city. But
Ernie couldn't afford to wash that uniform.
Times got a little tough. Bruce Wolf, sans Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
And that's the Weekly Wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The Weekly Wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production.